I need to tell you something that could get me killed. Even now, as I speak these words, there are people searching for me, powerful people. People who want to silence what I'm about to share with you. But I don't care anymore. Because the truth set me free in ways I never thought possible. My name doesn't matter. Where I'm from, I can't tell you exactly. But picture this, a palace with 73 rooms. Walls inlaid with gold leaf that caught the desert, sun and turned everything into liquid fire. Fountains that ran with rose water, sun and turned everything into liquid fire. Fountains that ran with rose water, sun and turned everything into liquid fire. Fountains that ran with rose water. I was a prince. Not the fairy tale kind. The real kind.
The kind with blood, money, and oil fields, and a father whose word could end a life with a snap of his fingers. Do you know what it feels like to have everything and feel nothing? I had 12 cars I never drove. I had clothes custom made in Milan that I wore once and discarded. My watch. It cost more than most people make in a lifetime. I remember looking at it one day, this intricate piece of Swiss machinery on my wrist, and thinking, this thing has more purpose than I do. At least it knows what it's meant to do. Every morning, I woke up on sheets that were softer than clouds, in a bedroom bigger than most family homes. But those sheets felt like sandpaper against my skin. That room felt like a tomb. Because luxury, my friend, luxury is just a beautiful prison when your soul is dying. My father was a king. Not officially, we don't use that word in public anymore, but in every way that matters. He ruled our region with an iron fist wrapped in silk. He was devout. Prayed 5 times a day, never missed a prayer. He could quote the Quran from memory. He gave millions to build mosques. And he beat my mother until she stopped crying. I was his oldest son. His heir. The one who would inherit his empire, his connections, his power. From the time I was 7 years old, he told me, "You are not like other boys. You are a lion. Lions don't feel. They don't question. They conquer." So I learned not to feel. I walked through those marble hallways, and yes, they were colder than his heart, and I became exactly what he wanted. Perfect posture. Perfect Arabic. Perfect memorization of every surah he demanded I learn. I fasted during Ramadan until my stomach ate itself. I prayed until my knees bruised. I did everything right. But inside, I was screaming. Have you ever felt so alone that death seemed like a friend? I did. Every single day. There was this moment, I must have been 19, when I stood on the balcony of our palace. 40 feet above the garden. The call to prayer was echoing across the city, this haunting sound that used to comfort me but now just reminded me of all the prayers that went unanswered. All the times I begged Allah to make me feel something. Anything. I looked down at those marble stones below, and I thought, it would be so easy. Just lean forward. 3 seconds of falling, and this emptiness would end. But I didn't. You want to know why? Because I was a coward. I was too afraid of hellfire. Too afraid of bringing shame to my family's name. Too afraid that even in death, I wouldn't escape my father's reach. So I stepped back from that ledge. And I went to another party. Oh, the parties. We had everything forbidden, hidden behind closed doors where the religious police couldn't see. Alcohol that cost thousands per bottle. Women flown in from around the world. Music, drugs, anything to fill the void. My friends, other princes, other sons of powerful men, we'd laugh and pretend we were living the dream. But I'd catch glimpses of their eyes sometimes, when they thought no one was looking. And I saw the same emptiness I felt. The same desperate hunger for something real. We were all dying slowly in our golden cages. My father had plans for me. Big plans. I was being groomed to take over parts of his business empire. Oil. Real estate. Construction contracts worth billions. He'd take me to meetings with men who smiled with their mouths but had dead eyes. Men who talked about expanding influence and eliminating competition in ways that made my blood run cold. I remember one meeting, I was 22, where my father and 3 other men discussed a journalist who was causing problems. They spoke casually, sipping Arabic coffee, eating dates. And they decided his fate like they were discussing the weather. The journalist disappeared 2 weeks later. His wife came to our palace, begging for information. I watched from a window as the guards turned her away. I watched her fall to her knees in the dust outside our gates, wailing. And I felt nothing. That's what terrified me most. Not that these things happened, but that I'd learned not to feel them. I'd become my father. At night, I'd lie awake in that massive bed, staring at the ceiling where artists had painted intricate Islamic geometric patterns in gold and lapis lazuli. Beautiful. Meaningless. And I'd think, is this it? Is this all there is? Power and money and emptiness until I die and face judgment? Because I believed in judgment. I believed in Allah. I believed in hell. Oh, I believed in hell very much. I just didn't believe in mercy anymore. I'd pray sometimes, when I was alone. Not the ritual prayers, those were just movements my body knew by heart. But real prayers. Desperate prayers. Please, I'd whisper into the darkness. Please, if you're real, show me why I'm here. Show me there's more than this. Show me I'm not just a monster in training. Silence. Always silence. And then came the day my father called me into his office. The day everything shattered. The day my golden cage burst into flames, and I learned that there are worse things than emptiness. That's when my real nightmare began. It was a Tuesday. Isn't it strange how the worst days of your life can start so ordinary? The sun was rising over the palace. The servants were bringing fresh mint tea. The smell of cardamom and saffron drifted through the corridors from the kitchen. Just another morning in paradise. Except my father's assistant came to my room at 6 a.m. with a message I'll never forget. Your father requires your presence. Immediately. His private office. Not the main office where he conducted business. His private office. The room where real decisions were made. The room with soundproof walls and no windows. My stomach dropped. I dressed quickly, white thobe, perfectly pressed. My hands were shaking as I tied my agal. I didn't know why I was afraid. I just knew. The walk down those corridors felt like walking to an execution. My shoes clicked on the marble, that cold, cold marble, and each step echoed like a countdown. The guards outside his office door wouldn't meet my eyes as they opened the doors. That's when I knew it was bad. Inside, my father sat behind his massive desk made of rare wood imported from somewhere I couldn't pronounce. But he wasn't alone. There were 3 other men in the room. I recognized them immediately, powerful families, business partners, men who moved governments like chess pieces. And there was someone else. An old man I'd never seen before. He had a white beard stained yellow from tobacco, and eyes like a vulture. He looked at me the way you'd look at a camel you're thinking of purchasing. Evaluating. Calculating worth. My father didn't smile. He never smiled. But there was something in his expression that day, satisfaction, maybe? Triumph? Sit down, he said in Arabic. I sat. The leather chair felt like it was swallowing me. I could smell his cologne oud, thick and expensive, mixed with tobacco smoke. The old man kept staring at me. I wanted to look away but didn't dare. "Do you know why you're here?" my father asked. "No, father." He leaned back in his chair. It creaked under his weight. Outside, I could hear the faint sound of the city waking up. I wished I was anywhere else. Anywhere. "You are 24 years old," he said. "You have been unfocused, distracted. I've been patient with your phase of youth, but that patience has limits." My heart was hammering. What did he know? Had someone seen me on that balcony? Had someone reported the questions I'd been asking, the doubts I couldn't silence? "You need purpose," he continued. "You need responsibility. You need to become a man." One of the other men chuckled. It was a dark sound. My father gestured to the old man with the vulture eyes. "This is Sheikh Hassan al-Wahidi. He is a dear friend. A man of great faith and greater wealth. He has been generous to our family, to our business interests." Sheikh Hassan nodded slowly, still staring at me. "He has a daughter," my father said. "Oh no. Oh God, no. She is 17. Beautiful. From a pure bloodline. She has been educated in the ways a proper wife should be educated: domestic skills, religious knowledge, obedience." The word hung in the air like a blade. Obedience. "You will marry her," my father said. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a discussion. It was a decree. The wedding will take place in 6 weeks. This union will strengthen our families, our business interests. It is decided. The room tilted. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Married? To a 17-year-old girl I'd never met? A child, really. Someone's daughter who had no choice either, who was probably as trapped as I was. "Father, You what?" His voice cut through the air like a whip. The other men went silent. Even Sheikh Hassan stopped smiling. My father leaned forward. "Did I ask for your opinion? Did I ask if you were ready? You are my son. You will do as you're told." "But I don't. I don't even know her. I don't want." The slap came so fast I didn't see it coming. My head snapped to the side. Pain exploded across my cheek. The room went completely silent except for the ringing in my ears. I could taste blood where my teeth had cut the inside of my mouth. "Want?" My father's voice was quiet now. Deadly quiet. "You want? You live in my house. You spend my money. You breathe because I allow it. And you dare speak to me about what you want?" I kept my eyes down. Blood dripped onto my white thobe, a small red flower blooming on the fabric. "Look at me." I looked up. His eyes were black. Bottomless. "You will marry this girl. You will consummate the marriage. You will give me grandsons. And you will do it with gratitude, because I could have you beaten in the street like a dog and no one would stop me. Do you understand?" "Yes, father." "Good." He turned to Sheikh Hassan and smiled, actually smiled, and just like that, the violence was over. They began discussing dowry amounts, property transfers, business deals. I was still sitting there with blood in my mouth, and they were negotiating me like livestock. The meeting ended an hour later. Details arranged. Contracts prepared. My life signed away. As I walked out of that office, one of the guards, a man who'd known me since I was a child, whispered as I passed, "I'm sorry, young master." That almost broke me. Almost. I made it back to my room before I vomited. For 3 days, I didn't leave my bedroom. I told the servants I was ill, which wasn't a lie. I was sick with fear, sick with rage, sick with absolute despair. I prayed. God, how I prayed. I prostrated myself on the prayer rug until my forehead bruised. I recited every surah I knew. I begged Allah to change my father's heart, to give me a way out, to kill me mercifully before this nightmare could happen. Please, I whispered into the carpet, tears streaming down my face. Please, I've tried to be faithful. I've tried to follow the straight path. Please don't let this happen. Please. Silence. Always. Silence. On the 4th day, my mother came to my room. She never came to my room, my father didn't allow her much freedom. But she slipped in while the guards were changing shifts. She looked older than I remembered. Tired. There was a fresh bruise on her arm, poorly hidden beneath her abaya. My son, she said softly, sitting on the edge of my bed. I heard about the arrangement. I couldn't look at her. Mother, I can't do this. You have no choice. There's always a choice. She grabbed my hand, her grip was surprisingly strong. No. There isn't. Not for us. Not in this family. Your father's word is law. Then help me run away. We could both. And go where? Her voice was bitter. I tried to leave once. Did you know that? You were 5 years old. I made it to the airport with you and your sister. Your father's men found us before we reached security. She pulled up her sleeve. There was a scar there, thick and old, running from her wrist to her elbow. He broke my arm in 17 places, she said. He told me if I ever tried again, he'd kill you and your sister in front of me. So I stayed. And I survived. That's what we do in this family. We survive. She left after that. And I was alone again in my golden cage, except now the bars were visible. Now I could see exactly how trapped I was. That night, I stood on the balcony again. The same balcony from before. The marble stones 40 feet below looked almost inviting. But this time, something different happened. This time, instead of stepping back like a coward, I asked a different question. I looked up at the stars, those ancient stars that had watched over this desert for thousands of years, and I said out loud, if there's any God listening, any God at all, if you're real and you care, I need help. Because the God I've been praying to isn't answering. So whoever you are, whatever you are, I'm listening. It felt like blasphemy just saying it. It felt like freedom. And that's when everything changed. Because someone was listening, the next morning, I woke up and nothing had changed. No divine intervention. No miracle. No burning bush or angelic visitation. Just the same silk sheets, the same golden cage, and the same crushing weight on my chest that made it hard to breathe. 6 weeks until the wedding. 42 days until I'd be shackled to a child bride I'd never met, trapped forever in the life my father had designed for me. 42 days until I became him another monster in expensive clothes, perpetuating the same cycle of control and violence. I couldn't eat. The servants would bring elaborate meals, roasted lamb, saffron rice, dates stuffed with almonds, pomegranate seeds glistening like rubies, and I'd stare at the food until they took it away. Everything tasted like ash. I lost weight. My clothes hung loose on my frame. My mother noticed but said nothing. What could she say? She knew this prison better than anyone. The wedding preparations began. My father hired the most expensive wedding planner in the region. There would be 300 guests. A palace ballroom transformed into something from Arabian Nights. Musicians flown in from Egypt. Flowers from Holland. A dress for the bride that cost more than most people's homes. I was taken to have my wedding thobe custom made. The tailor measured me with expert hands while chattering about what an honor it was to serve our family. I stood there like a mannequin, arms outstretched, and thought about how funeral shrouds are also white. "You seem thin, young master," the tailor said, concerned. "Have you been ill?" "Something like that," I whispered. They showed me pictures of the girl, my future wife. Amira. That was her name. She had large dark eyes and a carefully neutral expression. In every photo, she wore full hijab and looked at the camera with the same blank stare I saw in my own mirror. She was a stranger. She'd be my wife in 42 days. 41. 40. I started counting down like a prisoner on death row. I tried everything to escape, not physically. I wasn't that brave yet, but mentally. Spiritually. I became obsessed with prayer. I'd wake at 3 a.m. for tahajjud, the optional night prayer that's supposed to be the most powerful, when Allah descends to the lowest heaven to hear His servants' pleas. I'd pray in the darkness until my legs went numb. I'd recite the 99 names of Allah until my tongue was thick in my mouth. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik, Al-Quddus. The merciful, the compassionate, the King, the Holy. I'd beg Him to show mercy, to show compassion, to exercise His holy power and free me from this fate. Nothing. I fasted. Not just during the prescribed times, but constantly. Days and days without food, thinking maybe if I purified myself enough, made myself worthy enough, He'd finally hear me. My vision would blur. My hands would shake. And still nothing. I gave away money. Thousands, tens of thousands to beggars on the street. I'd have my driver take me to the poor neighborhoods, places my father would never go, and I'd hand out cash until my wallet was empty. Trying to buy Allah's favor with charity. The beggars would bless me. "May Allah reward you, young master. May He grant all your prayers." But He didn't. I visited the imam at our family's private mosque. A respected scholar, a man who'd memorized the entire Quran, who'd studied in Medina and Cairo. Surely he'd have answers. I found him after Maghrib prayer, sitting in the courtyard where the fountain burbled peacefully. "Sheikh," I said, sitting across from him. "May I ask you a question?" "Of course, my son." "What do you do when you pray, and Allah doesn't answer?" He smiled gently. Too gently. "Allah always answers, my son. Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes it's no. Sometimes it's wait. We must trust His wisdom. But what if His answer is destroying me?" The smile faded. Be careful with such thoughts. That's the whisper of Shaitan, trying to lead you astray. Your father has arranged a good marriage for you, yes? This is a blessing. Many young men would be grateful. I don't love her. Love comes after marriage. Love is a choice, a commitment. The Western idea of romance is a poison that destroys families. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab him and shake him and shout, "She's 17. I'm being sold like property. Where's the mercy in that?" But I didn't. I just nodded and thanked him and left. That night, I broke. Completely. Utterly. Broke. I trashed my room. I threw priceless vases against the walls and watched them shatter. I ripped the silk curtains down. I overturned furniture. I screamed into pillows until my throat was raw. And when the rage burned out, I collapsed on the floor among the wreckage and cried like I hadn't cried since I was a child. "Why won't you answer me?" I sobbed. "What do you want from me? I've done everything. I've prayed, I've fasted, I've given charity, I've followed every rule. Why do you hate me? Why won't you help me? Have you ever felt abandoned by God? Not just distant from Him. Not just disconnected. But actively, completely abandoned? Like you're screaming into a void and the void doesn't even have the courtesy to echo back? That's where I was. I'd built my entire life, my entire identity, on being a good Muslim. A faithful servant of Allah. And now, in my darkest hour, when I needed Him most, He was silent. The guards came eventually. They'd heard the noise. They found me curled up on the floor, surrounded by destruction, barely able to speak. They called my father. He came to my room, the first time he'd set foot in there in years. He looked at the damage. Looked at me. His expression was unreadable. "Clean yourself up," he said coldly. "You're embarrassing yourself. Father, please. The wedding is in 37 days. You will attend the final planning meeting tomorrow at noon. You will smile. You will act grateful. Or I will make your mother pay for your disrespect. Do you understand me?" I understood. He always knew exactly which lever to pull. My mother. My sister. The people I loved were his insurance policy against my rebellion. After he left, I sat in the shower for 2 hours. The water ran cold, then colder. I didn't move. I just sat there while the water beat down on me like rain, like tears, like judgment. I thought about that prayer I'd said on the balcony. The desperate, blasphemous prayer to any God listening. Maybe no one was listening. Maybe we really were alone in this universe, cosmic accidents pretending our suffering had meaning, when really we were just animals dying slowly in cages of our own making. That night, 29 days before the wedding, I made a decision. I couldn't run. I couldn't fight. I couldn't change my father's mind or Allah's plan or whatever cruel fate had written my story. But I could learn. If I was going to be trapped in this life forever, if I was going to become a monster like my father, at least I could understand why. At least I could know what other cages existed in this world. What other prisons people had built in the name of God. So I did something incredibly stupid. Incredibly dangerous. I asked one of the servants, a Filipino Christian woman who'd worked in our household for years, if she had a Bible. Her face went white. "Young master," she whispered, looking around frantically. That's a very dangerous question." "I know. But do you?" She hesitated. Then nodded, barely. "Can you bring it to me? In secret? If your father finds out, if anyone finds out, they'll deport me. Or worse. They'll. I know. I'll protect you. I promise. Please." She stared at me for a long moment. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Why do you want to read it?" "Because," I said honestly, "the God I've been praying to won't answer me. So maybe I need to hear from a different God." 3 days later, she slipped a small book into my room, hidden inside a stack of fresh towels. It was worn. Dog-eared. The cover was cracked. Inside the front page, written in Tagalog, was an inscription I couldn't read. But I could read the title. The Holy Bible. I held it in my hands, and I felt like I was holding a bomb. In my country, possessing a Bible could get you arrested. Converting from Islam could get you killed by the government, or by your own family, or by zealous strangers who thought they were doing Allah's work. This little book was more dangerous than any weapon. I hid it under my mattress and didn't open it for 2 days. I was terrified. Not of being caught, though that terrified me too, but of what I might find inside. What if it was just more rules? More judgment? More of a God who didn't care? What if I opened it and found nothing? 26 days before the wedding, alone in my room at 2 a.m., I finally pulled the Bible out from its hiding place. My hands were shaking. I didn't know where to start, so I just opened it randomly. The pages fell open to a section marked Psalms, and I began to read. That's when I heard his voice for the first time. Not out loud. Not audibly. But somehow louder than any sound I'd ever heard. Psalm 34, verse 18. That's what I read first. I didn't choose it, I told you. I just opened the book randomly, desperately, the way a drowning man grabs at anything floating by. The words were in English. My English was good, educated in British schools, tutored by the best. But these words hit differently. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. I read it again. And again. My hands were trembling so badly the pages shook. Close to the brokenhearted. Saves those who are crushed in spirit. I was both of those things. Broken. Crushed. Destroyed from the inside out. And this God, this Lord, was close to people like me? Not distant. Not silent. Not waiting for me to be perfect or worthy or pure enough. Close. I kept reading. I couldn't stop. The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. Tears started falling on the pages. I tried to wipe them away, but they kept coming. In Islam, I'd been taught that suffering was either a test or a punishment. If you suffered, you either needed to be more faithful, or you'd done something to deserve it. The answer was always the same: more prayer, more fasting, more obedience, more fear. But this was different. This said troubles would come. Many troubles. But deliverance would come too. Not because I earned it. Because He chose to deliver. I spent the rest of that night reading. I didn't understand everything, there were names I couldn't pronounce, histories I didn't know. But I understood the heart of it. These psalms were written by a king named David. A man after God's own heart, the text said. And yet, he was broken too. He cried out to God in anger, in despair, in rage. He accused God of hiding, of being silent, of abandoning Him. My God, why have you forsaken me? I'd felt that. I'd screamed that into my pillow a dozen times. But here's what shook me: God didn't punish David for those words. Didn't strike him down for his honesty, his rage, his doubt. Instead, these words were preserved. Made holy. Put in this sacred text for thousands of years. Like God was saying, yes, I hear you. Your pain is valid. Your anger is seen. Bring it to me. I'd been taught that questioning Allah was sin. That doubt was the whisper of Satan. That a good Muslim submits, the word Islam literally means submission, without complaint, without question. But this David, he questioned everything. And God called him beloved. What kind of God was this? As the sun rose, the call to far prayer echoing across the city, I hid the Bible back under my mattress and went through the motions of prayer. But my mind was somewhere else. The next night, I read more. I found the book of John, one of the Gospels, the story of Jesus. I'd heard of Jesus, of course. In Islam, we called him Isa. A prophet. A good man. born of a virgin, performed miracles, but just a man. Not the Son of God. That was blasphemy, shirk, the unforgivable sin. But I wanted to know what the Christians believed. Why they thought this man was worth dying for. So I read. And from the very first words, I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. God became human? Chose to become human? To dwell with us? To live in this broken, painful, corrupted world? Why would he do that? I kept reading, hungry now, devouring the words. Jesus was born in a stable. Not a palace. Not to a king. To a poor girl in a nowhere town under Roman occupation. He grew up in obscurity. Worked with his hands. The text said he was a carpenter, building things, fixing things, creating beauty from raw wood. Then at 30, he began teaching. And the things he said. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I was so tired. So weary. Carrying burdens that were crushing me. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Gentle. When was the last time I'd experienced gentleness? My father ruled with an iron fist. The imams taught with hellfire threats. Even Allah, in the Quran, seemed to delight in describing the torments awaiting sinners in graphic, terrifying detail. But Jesus said he was gentle. I read about how he treated people. The outcasts. The sinners. The broken. There was a woman caught in adultery. They were going to stone her to death, the religious leaders, so proud and righteous. And Jesus said, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." They all dropped their rocks. Every one. Then he turned to the woman, this guilty woman, caught in the act, deserving death by law, and he said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Neither do I condemn you." I'd lived my entire life under condemnation. From my father. From the imams. From Allah himself, whose 99 names included Al-Mu'min, the bringer of death, and Adar, the afflictor of harm. But this Jesus, he looked at guilty people and chose mercy. Not because they deserved it. Because that's who he was. I read about the crucifixion. How they beat him. Mocked him. Nailed him to a cross, the most shameful, agonizing death the Romans could devise. And as he hung there, bleeding and suffocating, do you know what he said? "Father, forgive them. For they know not what they do." He forgave the people murdering him. While they were murdering him. What kind of God does that? I thought about my father. The beatings. The control. The way he'd sold me like property. The years of emotional torture. Could I forgive him? No. Never. The very thought made me sick with rage. But this Jesus, he forgave the unforgivable. I closed the Bible and sat in the darkness of my room. Outside, the city was alive, cars honking, the distant call to prayer, the sounds of a world that seemed very far away. 23 days until the wedding. But for the first time in months, the countdown didn't feel like a noose tightening. It felt like a timer. A deadline for something. What? I didn't know yet. I started reading every night. 2 hours. 3. Sometimes until the sun came up. I read about Jesus healing the sick. Feeding the hungry. Touching the untouchable, the lepers, the diseased, the people everyone else avoided. I read about how he challenged the religious authorities. Called them hypocrites. Whitewashed tombs. Vipers. He hated religious pride. Hated the way powerful men used God to control and abuse others. That resonated. God, did that resonate? I read about his disciples, this ragtag group of fishermen and tax collectors and nobodies. How they kept misunderstanding him, failing him, doubting him. And he loved them anyway. Peter, the leader, denied knowing Jesus 3 times when the soldiers came. 3 times, he said, "I don't know him. I swear I don't know him." The ultimate betrayal. And after the resurrection, yes, I read that part, even though it seemed impossible, Jesus found Peter on a beach and asked him 3 times, "Do you love me?" Not "How dare you betray me?" Not "You're worthless, you failure." Just, "Do you love me?" Giving him 3 chances to affirm his love, to replace the 3 denials with 3 declarations. That's who this Jesus was. A God who gave second chances. Third chances. Infinite chances. A God who came looking for the lost, the broken, the betrayers. A God who died so we could live. But I was terrified. Because I knew what I was feeling. I knew where this was leading. I was falling in love with Jesus. And in my world, in my family, in my religion, that was a death sentence. Apostasy. Leaving Islam. There's a hadith, a saying of Muhammad that says, whoever changes his religion, kill him. Not exile. Not imprisonment. Kill him. My father wouldn't hesitate. He'd see it as his religious duty. His honor would demand it. But even knowing that, I couldn't stop reading. 18 days before the wedding, I found the book of Romans. Chapter 8. And I read words that shattered every chain I'd ever worn. Therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. No condemnation. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation, will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Nothing could separate me from His love. Not my father. Not my failures. Not my doubts. Not my sin. Nothing. I fell to my knees right there on my bedroom floor, the Bible open in front of me. And I prayed. Not to Allah. Not the ritual prayers I'd done 5 times a day for years. But to Jesus. I don't know if you're real, I whispered. I don't know if you can hear me. But if you can, if you're who this book says you are, I need you. I'm drowning. I'm dying. And I don't know how to save myself. Please. If you're the God who loves broken people. I'm so broken. Please, see me. Silence. But it was a different kind of silence than before. Not empty. Not cold. It felt like waiting. Like something was about to happen. I went to bed that night with the Bible under my pillow instead of my mattress. Closer. Like a lifeline. And that night, I had a dream that changed everything. I need you to understand something before I tell you what happened. I'm not a mystical person. I'm not prone to visions or supernatural experiences. I was raised in a world of logic, business, contracts, things you can see and touch and measure. Even my religion was ritualistic. Mechanical. You pray 5 times a day at specific times using specific words. You fast during specific months. You follow the rules. There's no mystery, no intimacy. So when I tell you what happened that night, please understand, I'm not crazy. I'm not making this up. And I've never been more certain of anything in my entire life. I fell asleep with my hand on the Bible under my pillow. I remember the detail because my fingers were numb when I woke up. I'd been gripping it so tightly. The dream started in darkness. Not the darkness of a room at night, but nothingness. A void. I was standing or floating, I couldn't tell, in absolute emptiness. No sound. No light. No sense of up or down. And I was terrified. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. I was trapped in nothing, which somehow felt worse than being trapped in something. Then I heard a voice. Not with my ears. It was inside me and all around me at the same time. Like the voice was woven into the fabric of reality itself. It said one word. Why? And I knew it was asking, why are you searching? Why are you reading that book? Why are you calling out to me? I tried to answer, but my voice wouldn't work. So I thought the words instead, desperately, hoping somehow he could hear. Because I'm dying. Because I'm alone. Because the God I've been praying to won't answer me, and I don't know where else to turn. The darkness shifted. Not lighter exactly, but less oppressive. Like it was listening. The voice came again. What do you want from me? I don't know, I thought back. Freedom. Hope. Proof that I'm not just nothing. That this life isn't all there is. And if I give you freedom, what will you do with it? I hesitated. What kind of question was that? I don't know. I've never been free. I don't know what freedom even looks like. Will you follow me? Who are you? And then, light. Not like turning on a lamp. Like the sun was born right in front of me. Brilliant, blazing, impossible light that should have blinded me but didn't. Instead, it felt warm. Safe. Like coming home after being lost in a storm. And in the light, I saw him. Jesus. I knew it was him instantly, even though I'd never seen a picture, never had any image in my mind of what he looked like. But I knew the way you know your own name. He was. I can't describe it adequately. Human, but more than human. His face was kind, but there was strength in it, not the brutal strength of my father, but something deeper. Unshakable. His eyes were full of tears. He was looking at me, and he was crying. For me. I fell to my knees, or maybe I was already on my knees, I don't know. The void had become solid ground somehow, though I couldn't see it. I'm sorry, I gasped. I'm sorry, I don't know the right way to pray to you. I don't know the rules. I don't know. He held up his hand, and I stopped. Then he spoke, and his voice was nothing like I expected. Not booming or authoritative or demanding. It was gentle. So gentle it broke something inside me. My son, he said. You think I need you to be perfect before I can love you? Yes, I thought. That's all I've ever known. Performance. Earning approval. Being good enough. He shook his head slowly, and a tear rolled down his cheek. I loved you before you were born, he said. I loved you when you were standing on that balcony, wanting to die. I loved you when you were angry at me. I loved you when you didn't even know my name. But I'm Muslim. I'm supposed to be your enemy. You're supposed to. You are not my enemy. You are my beloved. You are the lost sheep I left the 99 to find. I didn't understand the reference then. I'd learn later it was from his parable, but I felt the meaning in my bones. He'd been looking for me. All this time I thought I was searching for him. He'd been pursuing me. I don't deserve this, I whispered. You don't know the things I've done. The things I've thought. I'm broken. I'm damaged. I know, he said simply. I know every moment of your life. Every sin. Every secret. Every shame. I know it all. My heart dropped. Of course. He was God. He knew everything. And now he'd reject me, just like I deserved. And I love you anyway. What? I love you. Anyway. He stepped closer. I could see his hands now. There were scars on his wrists. Nail scars. The marks of crucifixion. He held them out to me. I died for those sins you're so afraid of, he said. All of them. Past, present, future. I took them all on that cross. They're already paid for. Already forgiven. You don't have to carry them anymore. I don't understand how that's possible. He smiled. It was the saddest, most beautiful smile I'd ever seen. You don't have to understand it. You just have to receive it. Grace isn't something you earn, my son. It's something you accept. Then he asked me the question that changed everything. Do you want to be free? Did I want to be free? Free from my father's control? Free from the guilt and shame? Free from the golden cage and the forced marriage and the slow death of my soul? Yes, I sobbed. God, yes. Please. I want to be free. Then follow me. Where? Through the fire. I looked at him, confused. What fire? He gestured, and suddenly I could see something. A vision within the dream. I saw myself at the wedding 17 days from now. Saw myself standing at the altar in my white thobe. Saw the girl, Amira, her face hidden behind a veil. Saw my father watching, satisfied, as the imam began the ceremony. And then I saw flames. Not literal fire, metaphorical, maybe? Spiritual? I don't know. But I understood the meaning. Following Jesus would destroy everything. My family. My inheritance. My identity. My safety. My life as I knew it. They'll kill me, I whispered. I know. My father will. I know. I'm afraid. I know. But I'm asking you anyway, will you follow me? I looked into his eyes. Those eyes that held the universe but were still crying for me. Those eyes that saw every ugly part of me and loved me anyway. And I said the most terrifying, most liberating words I'd ever spoken. Yes. I'll follow you. He smiled, a full smile this time, radiant with joy. Then rise, my son. Rise and be reborn. He reached out and touched my forehead with his scarred hand. And the touch was like lightning, like fire, like water, like coming alive for the first time. Every cell in my body lit up. I felt clean. Light. Like chains I didn't even know I was wearing had shattered and fallen away. I baptize you with my spirit, he said. You are mine now. No one can snatch you from my hand. Not your father. Not death itself. You belong to me. What do I do? I asked desperately. How do I? Trust me. I will show you the way. Step by step. Day by day. But you must trust me, even when you can't see the path. Even when it looks impossible. Can you do that? I thought about the wedding. About my father. About the danger. And I said, I'll try. That's all I ask. Now wake up. Wait. Wake up, Beloved, wake up and live. I gasped awake like I'd been drowning and just broke the surface. My room was dark. The clock said 4:47 a.m. The call to far prayer hadn't sounded yet. Everything was exactly as it had been when I fell asleep. But I was different. Completely, utterly, fundamentally different. I sat up in bed, and I felt light. Like gravity had less hold on me. The crushing weight that had been on my chest for months, years, maybe, was gone. I pulled the Bible out from under my pillow and opened it with shaking hands. I didn't know what I was looking for. I just needed to touch it. To confirm what had happened was real. The pages fell open to John 8 verse 36. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. I started laughing. Then crying. Then laughing again. I was free. Not physically, not yet. I was still in the palace. Still 17 days from the wedding. Still under my Father's control. But inside, I was free. The cage was still there, but the lock had been broken. The door was open. I just had to have the courage to walk through it. That morning, I went to far prayer in our family mosque like I always did. I stood in line with my father and brothers and prayed the ritual prayers. But in my heart, I was praying to Jesus. Thank you. Thank you. Show me what to do. Give me courage. Help me trust you. My father noticed something at breakfast. You look different, he said suspiciously. What's wrong with you? Nothing, Father, I said. And I smiled a real smile. It unnerved him. I could see it in his eyes. Good. 14 days until the wedding. 14 days until my old life would end, one way or another. Jesus had said I'd have to go through fire. I had no idea how literal he was being. The next 13 days were the strangest of my life. On the outside, I played the part perfectly. The obedient son. The nervous groom-to-be. I attended the wedding planning meetings. I smiled when I was supposed to smile. I nodded when my father spoke. I was a flawless actor. But inside, I was being rebuilt. Every night, I read the Bible. I devoured it like a starving man. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. The book of Acts, the story of the early church, how they were persecuted and martyred and still the faith spread like wildfire. The letters of Paul, written from prison, full of joy despite chains. I memorized verses. Hid them in my heart like treasures. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. I prayed constantly. Not the ritual prayers, though I kept doing those too, as camouflage. But real prayers. Conversations with Jesus. Show me the way out. Give me courage. Protect me. I trust you. And he answered. Not in dreams again, that encounter was a once-in-a-lifetime gift. But in whispers. Impressions. A gentle knowing that would come over me at random moments. Wait. Not yet. Soon. Trust me. The wedding preparations intensified. 7 days before. 6 days. 5. They brought a mirror to the palace to meet me, a carefully chaperoned meeting with both families present. She was tiny, this girl. Barely looked 15, though they said she was 17. Her eyes were downcast the entire time. She said maybe 10 words. It's nice to meet you. Yes, I'm excited for the wedding. Whatever you think is best. Rehearsed. Terrified. I looked at her and felt such profound sadness. She was a victim too. Another pawn in our father's games. Another sacrifice on the altar of honor and tradition and control. After the meeting, I asked my father if I could speak to him privately. We went to his office. That same soundproof room where this nightmare had begun. "Father," I said carefully. What if Amira and I waited? A year, maybe? To get to know each other better before. The slap came faster than I expected. I tasted blood instantly. He'd reopened the cut inside my mouth from last time. "You dare?" he hissed. "For days before the wedding, you dare question me? The contracts are signed. The guests are invited. Sheikh Hassan's money is already invested in our ventures. You will marry this girl in 4 days, and you will be grateful. Do you understand?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time in my life, I didn't see a giant. I didn't see an unstoppable force. I saw a broken, terrified man who'd built his entire identity on control because he had no idea how to love. I pitied him. "I understand, Father," I said quietly. Something flickered in his eyes. Uncertainty, maybe? He wasn't used to me being calm when he hit me. "Get out," he said. I left. 3 days before the wedding, the Filipino servant Maria, her name was Maria, found me in the garden. "Young master," she whispered urgently. "I need the Bible back. Someone saw me bringing you towels. They're asking questions. If they search my room." I understand. I'd been expecting this. "I'll bring it to you tonight." "Have you?" She hesitated. "Have you read it?" "All of it." Her eyes widened. "All?" "Twice." "And?" I looked around to make sure we were alone. Then I said, very softly, "I met him. Jesus. He's real, Maria. He's real, and he loves me, and I'm going to follow him." Tears flooded her eyes instantly. "Oh, young master," she breathed. "Do you know what you're saying? Do you know what that means here?" "I know." "They'll kill you." "I know." "Then why?" "Because he already died for me. The least I can do is live for him. Even if it's a short life." She grabbed my hand, a completely inappropriate gesture that could have gotten her fired, and squeezed it. "Then I'll pray for you," she said fiercely. "Every day. Every hour. I'll pray that God gives you a way out." "Pray that he gives me courage," I corrected. "The way out is his problem. Courage is mine." That night, I returned the Bible. But I didn't need it anymore. I'd memorized the important parts. They were written on my heart now, in ink that couldn't be erased. 2 days before the wedding. The palace was in controlled chaos. Caterers, decorators, musicians, security, hundreds of people swarming like ants. The ballroom had been transformed into something from a fantasy. Gold everywhere. Crystal chandeliers. Flowers flown in from 3 continents. It would have been beautiful if it wasn't a prison. I walked through it all in a daze. People kept congratulating me, slapping my back, making jokes about the wedding night that made me sick. I smiled, nodded, played the part. That night, I couldn't sleep. I knelt by my bed and prayed desperately. "Jesus. Tomorrow is the rehearsal. The next day is the wedding. I've been waiting for you to show me the way out, but I don't see it. I don't see any escape. Was I wrong? Did I misunderstand? Please. Please, I need to hear from you." Silence. Then, so gently I almost missed it. Trust me. Even in the fire. But what fire? What does that mean? You'll see. Don't be afraid. I'm with you. The wedding rehearsal was the next afternoon. We ran through the entire ceremony. Where to stand. When to speak. The vows I'd have to say, vows promising to honor and cherish a girl I'd spoken to for maybe 30 minutes total. Amira was there, heavily veiled. I saw her hands shaking as she held her practice bouquet. After the rehearsal, as people were leaving, something strange happened. One of the decorators, an older Egyptian man, dropped a box of candles near me. They rolled everywhere. I bent down to help him pick them up. As I handed them back, he looked directly into my eyes and said in English, "The side door by the kitchen. It will be unlocked at midnight tomorrow. There's a car waiting 2 blocks east. Green Toyota. Keys under the mat." I froze. What? But he was already walking away, calling to his crew in Arabic like nothing had happened. I stood there, candles in my hands, heart pounding. Was that Jesus? Providing a way? Or was it a trap? A test for my father? Trust me. That night, the night before the wedding, I didn't sleep at all. I paced my room like a caged animal. The wedding was at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Midnight was after the wedding. So was this escape for after? Was I supposed to go through with the marriage and then run? No. That didn't make sense. That would make Amira an accomplice or a victim all over again. So, before? But how? The palace would be swarming with security. My father would have people watching me every second. I prayed for hours. Show me what to do. Please. I'm terrified. I don't want to be a coward, but I don't want to die either. What do you want from me? Around 4 a.m., an overwhelming peace flooded me. Not an answer. Not a plan. Just peace. And a knowing, I've got you. Just be ready. The wedding day arrived. I wish I could tell you I woke up confident and courageous. I didn't. I woke up nauseated and shaking. The palace was absolute chaos. The wedding was in 15 hours. My mother came to my room early. She looked even more tired than usual. "My son," she said softly. "Today is your wedding day." I know. Are you ready? No. I'm about to destroy this entire family. I'm about to commit apostasy and run for my life. I'm about to break your heart and father's reputation and everything you've known. Yes, mother. She studied my face for a long moment. Then she did something she hadn't done since I was a child. She hugged me. "I'm sorry," she whispered into my shoulder. "I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. I'm sorry I was too weak to save you from becoming like him." I held her tight. "Mama, I love you. I love you too, Habibi. So much." She left before I could say anything else. The morning passed in a blur. People in and out of my room. My wedding thobe being fitted one last time. Stylists doing my hair. Someone trying to put makeup on me just to reduce shine for photographs, young master. My father came at noon. "Tonight," he said, "you become a man. A husband. A true son of this family. I expect you to perform your duties. Do you understand?" "Yes, father." He studied me with those black, bottomless eyes. "You've been different lately," he said. "Calmer. It's unnerving." "I've accepted my fate," I said. It wasn't a lie. He nodded, satisfied. Good. That's maturity. He left. 3 p.m. 4 p.m. 5 p.m. The guests started arriving. The ballroom filling up. Music playing. The smell of expensive perfume and cologne mixing with the flowers. At 6 p.m., they came to get me. It's time, young master. The groom must be in position. I looked at myself in the mirror one last time. White thobe. Gold a gall. Perfectly groomed. Every inch the wealthy prince. On the outside. Inside, I was a follower of Jesus, about to walk into a fire, trust me. I'm ready, I said. They led me down the corridors toward the ballroom. Security everywhere. My father's guards. No way out. Except. We passed the kitchen. The side door the Egyptian man had mentioned was right there. 30 feet away. But there were guards. And cameras. And 200 wedding guests between me and freedom. Impossible. We reached the ballroom entrance. Through the doors, I could see 300 people in their finest clothes. My father at the front, standing proud. The imam, ready to perform the ceremony. Everything perfect. Everything a lie. The wedding coordinator was talking to me, explaining something about my entrance, but I couldn't hear her. Because I was staring at the side door. And I saw it. A guard walking away to check something. The other guard looking at his phone. A split second where no one was watching. And I heard, clear as a bell. Now. I didn't think. I ran. I sprinted away from the ballroom, away from the coordinator's shocked shouts, toward that side door. Stop him, someone screamed. I hit the door at full speed. It opened, it was unlocked, just like the man had said. I burst into the night air. Behind me, chaos. Alarms. Shouting. My father's voice roaring my name. But I was running. Running like my life depended on it. Because it did. 2 blocks east. Green Toyota. I ran through the dark streets in my white wedding thobe, completely exposed, completely vulnerable. I could hear vehicles behind me. They were coming. 1 block. 2 blocks. There. Green Toyota. Old. Beat up. I dove for the driver's side. Keys under the mat, he'd said. They were there. I jammed them in the ignition. The engine turned over, thank God, thank Jesus, it started. Headlights flooded the street behind me. My father's SUVs. I slammed the gas and the little Toyota lurched forward. And the chase began. I told you Jesus said I'd have to go through fire. I was about to learn just how literal he meant it. I've never driven that fast in my life. The Toyota was old, maybe 15 years, with a rattling engine and a cracked windshield, but it moved. I pushed the accelerator to the floor and flew through the dark streets of the city. Behind me, 3 black SUVs. My father's vehicles. Expensive. Powerful. Faster than this piece of junk I was driving. They were gaining on me. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove, taking turns randomly, desperately, praying the whole time. Jesus, 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 help me. Please. Don't let them catch me. Not now. Not after coming this far. The streets were crowded, it was evening, people everywhere. I laid on the horn, swerving between cars, up onto sidewalks. People screamed and dove out of the way. I'm sure I broke a dozen laws in those first 5 minutes. But I was free. For the first time in my life, I was making my own choice. Running towards something instead of being trapped by something. Even terrified, even sure I was about to die, I felt alive. My phone started ringing. I glanced at it, my father's name on the screen. I threw the phone out the window. The SUVs were getting closer. I could see them in the rearview mirror, sleek and predatory. They weren't worried about hitting pedestrians or traffic laws. They had one mission: catch me. I took a sharp right turn, tires squealing. The Toyota fishtailed but held. The SUVs followed easily. I was heading out of the city center now, toward the outskirts. Fewer people. Darker streets. Worse for me, they could force me off the road without witnesses. One of the SUVs pulled alongside me. I saw the window rolling down. A gun. They had a gun. I swerved hard left just as the shot fired. My side mirror exploded in a shower of glass and plastic. They were shooting at me. My own father's men were shooting at me. To kill me? To stop me? Did it matter? Another shot. This one hit my back windshield. It spider-webbed but didn't shatter completely. I was crying now, tears streaming down my face, still driving like a madman. Jesus, I'm going to die. I'm going to die, and I never even got to really live for you. Please. Please, I trust you. You said you'd be with me. Please be with me now. Ahead, I saw my only chance, a highway entrance. If I could get on the highway, maybe I could outrun them in traffic. Maybe. I yanked the wheel right and shot up the entrance ramp. The Toyota's engine screamed in protest. The SUVs followed. We were on the highway now, weaving through late evening traffic at insane speeds. 100 kilometers per hour. 120. The little Toyota was shaking so badly I thought it might fall apart. More gunshots. One hit my rear bumper. Another missed completely and hit a passing truck. Innocent people. They were endangering innocent people to catch me. The rage that flooded me was white-hot. These men, my father, his guards, the whole system, cared about nothing but control. Nothing but power and honor and image. Human life? Worthless. Unless you were one of them. This is what I'm running from, I thought. This is the evil that Jesus came to destroy. This is why I have to escape. One of the SUVs rammed me from behind. The impact threw me forward. My chest hit the steering wheel. Pain exploded through my ribs. They rammed me again. The Toyota swerved wildly. I fought to control it, but we were going too fast. The car spun once, twice, and then I was facing backward on the highway, seeing the SUVs bearing down on me, and I knew this was it. This was how I died. In that moment, that fraction of a second before impact, time seemed to stop. And I heard his voice again. Not audible. Not even in my head. Deeper than that. In my spirit, my soul, the core of who I was. I've got you. Hold on. The SUV hit me head on. The sound was deafening. Metal screaming. Glass shattering. My body thrown against the seatbelt so hard I couldn't breathe. Everything went white. Then black. Then, nothing. I don't know how long I was unconscious. Seconds. Minutes. When I came to, I was hanging upside down. The Toyota had flipped. I was suspended by my seatbelt, blood rushing to my head. The smell of gasoline was overpowering. Outside, I heard voices. Shouting in Arabic. Find him. Find the prince. The car's on fire. Fire? I looked through the shattered windshield and saw flames licking up from the engine. The car was on fire. And I was trapped in it. I fumbled for the seatbelt release. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip it. The smoke was getting thicker. I was coughing, choking, my eyes burning. Click. The seatbelt released and I fell onto the roof, which was now the floor. Broken glass cut into my hands. Something sharp stabbed my side. The flames were spreading. The heat was intense. I kicked at the door. Once. Twice. It wouldn't open, the frame was bent from the impact. I was going to burn to death. After everything, the dream, the revelation, the courage to run, I was going to burn to death in a crashed car while my father's men watched. No! Something inside me, rage, desperation, faith, I don't know, gave me strength I shouldn't have had. I kicked the windshield. My wedding shoe went through. I kicked again. Again. The glass gave way. I crawled through the opening, cutting myself on the remaining shards, and pulled myself out onto the highway. The night air hit me like a blessing. I gasped, coughing smoke from my lungs. But I wasn't safe yet. The SUVs had stopped about 50 yards away. Men were getting out. 4 of them. Armed. And the Toyota behind me was fully engulfed in flames now, lighting up the highway like a torch. I tried to stand. My legs wouldn't hold me. I collapsed onto the asphalt. One of the men was walking toward me. I recognized him, Hassan, my father's head of security. He'd been with our family for 20 years. He had his gun drawn. "Young master," he called out. "Don't make this worse. Come back with us. Your father will forgive you. We can fix this." I tried to crawl away. My body wouldn't cooperate. Everything hurt. Hassan got closer. 10 feet away. 5. "There's nowhere to go," he said, almost sadly. "Please. I don't want to hurt you. But I will if I have to." He raised the gun. Pointed it at my head. I closed my eyes. Jesus. I tried. I'm sorry I failed. But thank you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for setting me free, even if it was only for a few minutes. I waited for the gunshot. It didn't come. Instead, I heard Hassan say, "What the?" I opened my eyes. There was a man standing between me and Hassan. Just standing there. Appeared out of nowhere. He was tall. Wearing simple clothes. His back was to me, so I couldn't see his face. But I knew. Somehow, I knew. Hassan was frozen, gun still raised, staring at the stranger. "Move," Hassan said. "Move or I'll shoot through you." The man didn't move. I said move. Hassan fired. I saw the muzzle flash. Heard the shot. The bullet passed through the man. I saw it happen, saw the ripple like he was made of water and buried itself in the asphalt. The man was still standing. Unchanged. Unharmed. Impossible. Hassan fired again. And again. Emptying his clip. Every bullet passed through. The other guards were running over now, shouting, drawing their weapons. And the man turned around. I couldn't see his face clearly, there was light, so much light, but I saw enough. The scars on his hands. Jesus. Jesus was standing between me and my father's men. He looked at me. And even though I couldn't see his eyes clearly, I felt his gaze. Felt the love, the protection, the fierce determination. I told you I'd be with you. Did you think I was speaking metaphorically? Then he turned back to Hassan and the guards. They were all frozen now. Guns raised but not firing. Staring at this impossible figure. Jesus raised his hand, the one with the nail scar, and he spoke. His voice was like thunder. Like an earthquake. Like the voice of someone who commanded the universe itself. Touch him, and you touch me. The guards dropped their weapons. Just dropped them. Like their hands couldn't hold them anymore. Then they ran. All four of them. Scrambling back to their SUVs, terrified, tripping over themselves in their panic. The engines roared to life. The SUVs peeled out, leaving rubber on the highway, and disappeared into the night. And just like that, they were gone. Jesus turned back to me. The light around him was fading now. I could see his face more clearly. He was smiling. "Can you stand?" he asked gently. I don't think so." He reached down those scarred hands again and took my arm. The moment he touched me, strength flooded my body. The pain didn't disappear, but it became bearable. Manageable. He helped me to my feet. Behind us, the Toyota was still burning. Nearby, traffic had stopped. People were getting out of their cars, staring at the scene. Some were filming on their phones. We didn't have much time. "There's a truck," Jesus said, nodding toward a cargo truck stopped about 100 yards up the highway. "The driver is a believer. He'll take you where you need to go." "Where do I need to go?" "To the border. Then beyond. To freedom." "Will I?" I hesitated. "Will I ever see you like this again?" He smiled. "You'll see me every day, in every person who shows you kindness. In every sunset. In every moment of joy and hope. I'm always with you now. Even when you can't see me. I'm scared. I know. But remember, perfect love casts out fear. And my love for you is perfect." He started to fade. Like mist burning away in sunlight. "Wait." I called. "I don't even know what to do. Where to go after the border. How to. Trust me." His voice was an echo now, coming from everywhere and nowhere. "One step at a time. I'll show you the way." And he was gone. I stood there on the highway, in my ruined wedding thobe, covered in blood and cuts and bruises, surrounded by wreckage and fire. And I started laughing. Loud, probably slightly hysterical laughter that made the nearby onlookers step back nervously. I was alive. Jesus had literally, physically saved my life. And I was free. I limped toward the truck he'd indicated. The driver, a Pakistani man with a kind face, was standing by the cab, watching me approach. "You're the prince," he said in Urdu. I understood enough to follow. "Not anymore," I said in English. He smiled. "Good. Princes are prisoners. Come. We need to leave before police arrive." I climbed into the truck. Every movement hurt, but it was the good kind of hurt. The pain of being alive. As we pulled away, I looked back at the burning wreckage one last time. My old life. My golden cage. My father's world. All of it, consumed by fire. Just like Jesus had promised. The truck driver took me to the border. It took 3 days, hiding in the back among cargo, eating scraps, drinking water from old bottles. 3 days of fear that my father's men would find us. They didn't. At the border, there was a missionary couple waiting. The driver knew them somehow, I never learned how. God's network, I suppose. They smuggled me across. That's all I can tell you about that part. Even now, even years later, I can't give details that might endanger others. But I made it. I made it to freedom. The first night in the safe house, a tiny apartment in a country I can't name, I collapsed on the bed and slept for 16 hours straight. When I woke up, I cried for an hour. Not from sadness. From overwhelming, crushing, beautiful relief. I was alive. I had escaped. And Jesus had kept every single promise. That was 3 years ago. 3 years since I ran from that wedding. 3 years since Jesus stood between me and the bullets. 3 years since I died to my old life and was born into a new one. You want to know what happened after? What my life looks like now? It's nothing like what I left behind. I live in a small apartment, 1 bedroom, tiny kitchen, a bathroom where the shower sprays in 3 different directions. It's about the size of my old closet in the palace. And I've never been happier. I work 2 jobs. During the day, I'm a translator at a refugee center, helping people who fled situations like mine navigate a new country, a new language, a new life. At night, I drive for a rideshare company. I make enough to pay rent, buy food, and save a little. That's it. No designer clothes. No sports cars. No servants or palace rooms or private jets. Just life. Simple, ordinary, beautiful life. And it's more than enough. The first year was the hardest. I had to learn everything from scratch. How to cook, I'd never even made tea before. How to do laundry. How to take a bus. How to budget money. Things every normal person knows, but I'd been a prince. I'd had people to do everything for me. I was terrible at all of it. I burned every meal I attempted. I turned my clothes pink by washing colors with whites. I got lost constantly because I couldn't navigate without a driver. But I learned. And every burned meal, every ruined shirt, every time I got hopelessly lost, I thanked Jesus for it. Because it meant I was free. Free to fail. Free to learn. Free to be human. The missionary couple who'd helped me smuggle across the border, David and Sarah, they became my family. They taught me everything. How to live in this new country. How to read the Bible not just for information but for transformation. How to pray, really pray, not just recite words but have conversations with God. They took me to their church. That first Sunday. I can't describe it adequately. We walked into this small building, nothing fancy, just a converted warehouse with folding chairs and a simple cross on the wall. Maybe 100 people. And they were singing. Not the call to prayer I'd grown up with, that haunting, beautiful but distant sound. This was different. This was joy. They were singing about Jesus like he was in the room with them. Like he was their friend, their brother, their beloved. And I realized, he was in the room. I felt him. The same presence from the dream, from the highway. That overwhelming love. I started crying right there in the back row. Couldn't stop. David put his arm around my shoulders and just let me cry. After the singing, the pastor spoke. An ordinary man, maybe 50, with gray hair and laugh lines around his eyes. He wasn't a scholar or an imam or anyone special. But when he opened the Bible and started teaching, I heard truth. Raw, unfiltered, life-giving truth. He talked about the prodigal son, the story Jesus told about a young man who ran away from home, wasted his inheritance, and came back broken and ashamed. And his father didn't condemn him. Didn't punish him. He ran to meet him. Put a robe on him. Threw a party for him. That's who God is, the pastor said. Not waiting for you to clean yourself up before he'll accept you, but running toward you while you're still covered in pig slop, throwing his arms around you, welcoming you home. I'd never heard anything like it. In Islam, I'd been taught about a God who watched every sin, recorded every mistake, waited to weigh your good deeds against your bad. A God you had to perform for, earn approval from, fear. But this was a father who loved his children not because they were good, but because they were his. After the service, people came up to me, shook my hand, hugged me, complete strangers hugging me. Welcome, brother. We're so glad you're here. If you need anything at all, please let us know. No one asked about my past. No one demanded to know why a Middle Eastern man in donated clothes was crying through the whole service. They just loved me. That's when I understood what church really was. Not a building. Not a religious institution. It was family. But it hasn't all been easy. There are hard days. Days when I miss my mother and wonder if she's okay. Days when I think about my little sister, is she being forced into a marriage like mine was? I have no way to contact her. No way to know. There are nights when I wake up from nightmares, my father finding me, dragging me back, the wedding happening anyway, but this time there's no escape. There are moments when I see something, a certain cologne, a type of food, the sound of Arabic being spoken, and I'm transported back to that palace, that cage, that suffocating life. And I have to remind myself, that's not my life anymore. I'm free. I've also faced rejection. When I share my story, my testimony, some Muslims call me a traitor, an apostate. They say I've betrayed my family, my culture, my heritage. They say I deserve death. And you know what? Part of me understands their anger. Because I was one of them once. I believed what they believe. I felt that same fierce loyalty to Islam, to the faith I was born into. But I also know what I encountered. I know who I met. And I can't deny it. I won't deny it. Jesus is real. He's not a prophet. Not just a good teacher. He's God in human flesh, who came to earth to die for our sins and rise again so we could have eternal life. That's the truth I'd die for now. Actually, I almost did die for it. And I'd do it again. Some Christians have struggled with my story too. They hear about the supernatural encounter, Jesus appearing, stopping bullets, literally intervening, and they're uncomfortable. God doesn't work that way anymore, they say. Those were just for Bible times. And I want to ask them, who told you that? Who told you that the God who parted the Red Sea and raised the dead and appeared in burning bushes suddenly stopped being supernatural? He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. The Bible says that. He saved me. Miraculously, undeniably, impossibly saved me. Not because I'm special. Not because I'm more faithful than anyone else. But because He loves me. And He wanted me free. And if He did it for me, He'll do it for you too. Whatever your prison is. Whatever your golden cage looks like. 6 months after I escaped, I was baptized. It was in a river, just like Jesus was baptized. David and Sarah and about 20 people from the church came to witness. I stood in that cold water, and David asked me, "Do you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, that He died for your sins and rose again on the third day?" "I do," I said. And I meant it with every fiber of my being. "And do you commit your life to following Him, no matter the cost?" No matter the cost. I thought about the cost. My family. My inheritance. My old name, I can't even use my real name anymore, it's too dangerous. My entire identity. And I said, I do. He lowered me under the water, buried with Christ in his death, and raised me up again, resurrected with him in new life. When I came up out of that water, gasping and dripping and grinning like an idiot, I felt clean. Completely, utterly clean. All the shame, all the guilt, all the years of feeling dirty and broken and not enough. Washed away. Gone. And I was new. The Bible says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come. That's exactly what happened to me. The old prince, the golden cage, the forced marriage, the life of luxury and emptiness, he died. And a new man was born. A man who knows what freedom actually means. I'm not going to tell you my current name, or the country I live in, or any details that could identify me. Because even now, even 3 years later, I'm not completely safe. My father is a powerful man with a long reach. There are people who would happily collect a reward for information leading to me. But I'm not afraid anymore. Not like I used to be. Because I know something now that I didn't know before. Even if they find me, even if they kill me, I win. Because death isn't the end for followers of Jesus. It's just the beginning. Paul wrote, "For me, to live is Christ and to die is gain." I understand that now. If I live, I get to serve Jesus here on earth, helping refugees find hope, sharing my testimony, loving people the way he loved me. If I die, I get to be with Jesus forever. No more pain. No more fear. No more crying or sorrow or night. Just him. Just perfect love. Just home. Either way, I win. So why am I telling you all this? Why am I risking exposure, risking my safety, to share this story with you? Because I know some of you watching this right now are in your own golden cages. Maybe not a literal palace. Maybe not a forced marriage. But you're trapped. Trapped by expectations. By family pressure. By religion that feels more like chains than freedom. By addiction. By shame. By secrets you think would destroy you if anyone knew. By the desperate, suffocating feeling that this can't be all there is to life. And you're right. It's not. There's more. There's Jesus. I'm not going to lie to you and say following him is easy. It's not. It cost me everything. But what I got in return, what I gained: peace, joy, purpose, love, freedom. Real freedom. Not the fake freedom of doing whatever you want, but the freedom of becoming who you were created to be. The freedom of knowing you're loved completely, unconditionally, eternally loved by the God who created the universe. And that love doesn't depend on your performance, on your goodness, on how many prayers you pray or how many rules you follow. It depends on him, on what he did on the cross. He took your sin, all of it, every shameful moment, every secret failure, every time you fell short, and he carried it to the cross. He died in your place. He paid the debt you couldn't pay. And then he rose again, proving he had power over death itself. And now he's offering you the same thing he offered me: freedom. All you have to do is receive it. Maybe you're Muslim, like I was. And you're terrified of what I'm saying because you've been taught it's the worst possible sin. I understand. I was there. But I'm asking you, have you ever encountered Jesus yourself? Not just heard about him. Not just dismissed him as a prophet. But actually asked him, are you real? Are you who the Christians say you are? I did. And he answered. He'll answer you too. Maybe you're from a different background. Maybe you're atheist, agnostic, hurt by religion, done with all of it. I get that too. But this isn't about religion. This is about relationship. With a God who loves you so much he became human, suffered, died, and rose again just to offer you eternal life. That's not religion. That's rescue. Here's what I want you to do. If you're watching this and something inside you is stirring hope, curiosity, desperation, anything, I want you to pray with me. Right now. Out loud if you can, or silently if you need to. Just talk to Jesus. Like I did. Be honest. Be raw. Tell him where you're hurting. And ask him to reveal himself to you. He will. I promise you, he will. Maybe not in a dream. Maybe not with visions or miracles. But he'll answer. You'll know. Deep in your heart, in that place where truth lives, you'll know. Let's pray. Jesus. I don't know if you're real. Or maybe I do, but I'm scared of what it means. I'm tired of being trapped. Tired of being empty. Tired of pretending I'm fine when I'm breaking inside. If you're real, show me. Please. I'm not asking for proof I can show other people. I'm asking for proof I can know. Something personal. Something undeniable. And if you do, if you show me you're real, I'll follow you. Even if it's hard. Even if it costs me everything. Because I'm already dying in this cage. I need to know if there's a way out. So please, Jesus. If you're listening. Save me. Amen. If you just prayed that prayer even silently, even with doubts, something just happened in the spiritual realm. Angels are rejoicing. Jesus is smiling. Because you just took the first step toward freedom. Now here's what you do next. Find other believers. Don't try to do this alone. Find a church, a real church that teaches the Bible, that loves people, that looks like family. If you're in a dangerous situation like I was, find them carefully. Secretly. But find them. Read the Bible. Start with the book of John. Let Jesus introduce himself to you through his own words and actions. Pray. Every day. Not ritual prayers. Just talk to him like he's your best friend. Because that's what he wants to be. And be patient with yourself. You're learning a new way to live. A new way to love. A new way to be human. It takes time. That's okay. Jesus isn't in a hurry. He's been waiting for you your whole life. He'll wait as long as you need. 3 years ago, I was standing on a balcony, contemplating ending my life because I couldn't see any way out. Today, I'm sitting here, talking to you, with a heart full of joy and purpose and hope. That's what Jesus does. He takes broken people and makes them whole. He takes prisoners and sets them free. He takes the dead and brings them back to life. That's who he is. And he's waiting for you. Don't wait too long. Life is short. Eternity is real. And the God who loves you, who's been pursuing you your whole life, is reaching out his scarred hands and saying, "Come to me. Let me give you rest. Let me set you free.